Good evening, everybody watching at home. I must apologise for the delay. I've just come back from an incredible karting trip with my students, but hopefully these guys on track and I'm going to teach you a lesson how to drive at Watkins Glen. Road Atlanta, I should say. My apologies, Road Atlanta. I'm very tired, but I'm here anyway. I'm SuperSquid once again with Amigos Racing Team, and we're about to witness the finale of Tier 2 of the TCR Championship Season 2. If you know what's good for you, you're going to subscribe to our channel on YouTube with a big button underneath the video, and you're going to click our link in the description to join our Discord and our wide variety of races and leagues. Our brand new Monday Championship is starting up very soon, so please get involved in that. We've also got a very special race next Thursday to raise funds for Cancer Research UK, so please do get involved with that. You join us then, I think, mid-qualifying, and in fact maybe post-qualifying, I think I should say here. Looks like Chris RV90 in the very snazzy looking Genesis there has taken pole position, just pipping Matthew Francis to P2. Want to do very quickly, I think he's pinging me on Discord, so I'm going to get him in the chat just before we get going, and hopefully we'll get a bit of insight into the final round. Just finding my friends list, there we go. So he should join us in any second now. From what I understand, it's fairly close at the top of Tier 2 here. I'll have a quick check. Where is it here? So Chris Reynolds is only 4 points off the top, I believe, here. And his friend Quinny in Tier 1, they need 20 points, I think, to secure the championship. So it could be a very interesting night for those two. We'll have to find out. Hopefully he'll join us in the party chat. Here he is, I believe.
Evening, Squid. How you doing?
Good evening, Chris. I am absolutely knackered, but...
You've had a bit of an eventful day, so I believe.
A very eventful day. The viewers are now aware. But enough about me. Let's get on with this thing for the evening. You started race 1 about to start, I believe?
We are about to start race 1. We've just done qualifying now. As you can see on the screen, if you've got it on there, I'm surprised I've got pole position, to be honest. I'm really, really surprised. I've not been getting in the air 25s at all in practice, so I don't know where that lap's come from at all.
Well,
so,
as long as you're making it count when it counts. You see by almost half a second there, it seems there.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? I mean, it's really. I mean, I said that the one really that I'm going to be fighting is going to be Tiddles, and I don't know why he's starting right in the back at 10th place. So I didn't notice that. So I'm not going to say that I'm pleased, but we'll see what happens. So as it stands in the table at the moment for Tier 2, there is only 4 points separating myself and Tiddles for the title. Tiddles leads at the moment, 4 points behind is myself, and then it's something like I think it's a drop of like 70 points or something like that to Urban Fire, who's in 3rd. So really, I think it's going to be a top 2 shootout for this.
Well, it does sound like it's going to be very exciting. And we know that Tiddles from previous races does have incredible race pace when he keeps it on the black stuff. So maybe a bad qualifying, he's going to show us what he's made of tonight.
Yeah, we had a reverse grid last week in race 2, as you know, and he started near the back and won it by a country mile, so you never ruled him out. You know, as long as he can keep it on the track and keep it consistent, there's always a threat there. Excellent.
Well, I don't want to keep you any longer then. If you want to get underway, I'll try and brief the guys as to what we're going to expect tonight. But best of luck to yourself.
Cheers. Hopefully, it might get a bit dark later, but we'll see what happens with the time multiplier. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to that then. A midnight showdown possibly to decide the title.
Yeah,
best of luck.
Yes, definitely. Right. Cheers. Good.
Take care, Chris. Well, I'm so glad that with such short notice, 5 of us have tuned in. Thank you very much for your support, guys. I think JRM in the chat there saying it's your boy Squid. It is indeed your boy SuperSquid, super tired Squid. But I've got a job to do. So hopefully we're going to be underway in a moment or two with race 1 of 3. I think Dalton in the chat there as well, popping in saying evening, gents. Good evening to you, Dalton. Good to see you on chat as always. Again, if you would help us out, drop a like on the video, add to your favourites, share with your friends, you know what to do. But we're about to get underway with race 1 of 3 here. So I think I'm going to wait for the race to start before I spectate and ruin the camera. But as we know, we're expecting 15 laps here, 8 times weather, so we'll see again. A little bit cloudy according to our forecast here. 3 times tyres, 4 times fuel, medium tyres only. So I've got no idea what to expect in terms of the pit strategy or not. Looks like we're about time for our 5 red lights. Oh, there's a rollover from Skins. He might well be able to pay for a penalty there. He will indeed. There's a bit of a delay start as well there from it. Who is that? Matthew Francis. Looks like we have to have a restart here, I think. There's someone stuck on the grid still, I think. Not ideal. Just so we get all the people tuning in. I'm going to have a quick drink, I think, before we start this one again. Stay right here. Race 1 will be underway shortly. A bit of a glitch, it seems, at the start. Can't quite see what happens to Skins. Maybe he's had to run away temporarily. Perhaps an AFK moment there that he'll be sorting out. Oh, Chris says Skins was missing, so he wasn't actually present for the start. Which it does help to have all the drivers ready when the lights go out. Hopefully he'll be back momentarily. In the meantime, how can we stall for some time? Let's have a look. As we watch Skins roll off there onto the side of the track. Maybe not the best thing to be looking for here as he gets ready for the next race. What are we looking at here though? Road Atlanta. So, of course, in Atlanta, in Georgia, in the USA. Motor car and cycle racing, home of the Petit Le Mans. It's the miniature endurance series there. Currently hosting series such as the Petit Le Mans, so the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, the Trans Am series as well, Moto America for cycling, and we're using the full layout tonight, the Grand Prix circuit as I believe it is referred to. Spots to watch out for this track, I think, in terms of cars going off, will be out of this lights out. We start again. Parts to watch as we head through the lap here will be the first kind of twisty uphill complex. A couple of blind apexes there that might catch the drivers out, send them off into the grass, and then as they exit this very twisty start section of the track, the sharp 90-degree left heading onto the second straight is a place where we might see some drivers go wide and incur a penalty or two. We're going to have a nice long straightaway there before the final chicane to really build up some speed. You might see some slipstream overtakes, particularly I think from the Korean cars, the Genesis, the G70, perhaps from Jonathan in the Lexus if he gets his foot down. That final chicane will definitely be a danger spot there, especially running wide, clipping that curb. You can see it in your shot here. Just keeping that curb on the way out of the top there can easily spin the car out under the tunnel. And we might even see some side-by-side racing down into the final corner. See who can cross the finish line first there. Be really exciting racing there. So I believe we probably will be good to go once everyone else is on track. I think it's I'm just ensuring that we're all here. It looks like we're all here. So I just try to stall for time really. I don't really know what's happening here. I think I'm resetting the grid. I just had a message from Dalton asking if he'd like to join on the commentary. Dalton, if you're listening, I really do appreciate that. It's very kind. I'm not sleepy tired, just physical tiredness. It's probably worth admitting at this point. I took my students go-karting today, and the organisers very nicely offered a reduced fee for me and another teacher to take part. So we didn't join the kids, but we did get to be on track for a couple of stints. So it's more physical tiredness than mental, but thank you for your consideration, Dalton. And probably worth saying, I absolutely rinsed the kids, but can't demoralise them for the competition. Anyways, we're ready with our 3, 4, 5 red lights once again. Skins isn't rolling off the grid this time. In fact, he's not going anywhere at all, it seems. Let's jump back into a proper camera now. You see Matthew Francis jump Chris off the start line there as they head into turn 1. Will it be side by side? Anyone's going to give any distance there? No, bit of door banging. Chris in the dirt. Chris RP90 in the dirt. Matthew Francis as well. Is Chris keep it in a straight line? No. Around he goes. Matthew Francis should be able to take him on the exit there, but that's really ruined their chances there. ART Mike's had a bad turn as well there. So Urban Fire in the 8-6 takes the lead, but maybe not for too long. He does have a half-second penalty. So you'll see Jonathan, I'm sure, assume the lead of the race very soon. In the meantime there, Jaron saying, I just can't wait to press proceed on the checkout on the Fanatec site. Tell us, Jaron, in the comments, what's in the basket? I want to know. What's in the box? If you're a cinephile, you know that one. In the meantime, Urban Fire heading out of the double right-hander down to the back straight. This is where the 8-6 will suffer, being the underpowered car of the group. We're going to see Jonathan fly past here. We watch on board from Urban Fire, crossing into the penalty zone any second now, I believe. So Jaron's getting the DD Pro, fantastic. Make your JRM moments even more realistic, I'm sure. So Jonathan flies past there, going to be 3 wide into the chicane. Looks like they can flank Urban Fire, but Tiddywink from the back of the pack up into P2 before they even cross the first lap line there. Incredible stuff there from Tiddywink, and just about keeps it in a straight line as well. Jaron says his G923 is dead. Well, I guess it is about time we get a replacement for that one then. There, Jonathan leads them over the start line. Tiddywink in second, Nick John Baker third, Urban 5 fourth, Big Crazy Bertie hassling in for P5. A very close train here in our front three cars, as that is that Tiddywink? It is Mr. Tiddywink with such a fantastic start to the race, losing almost all of his progress then down into P7, possibly even P8. Chris Arthur 90 is now hot on his heels. That promotes Jayla Matthew Francis up to 5th and 6th respectively. Chris Arthur 90 in 8th, Mike in 9th, and Skins, unfortunately at the back of the pack, he's had some damage there, rear damage, maybe gone off and clipped the wall. Finds himself in P10. Dalton saying he's really annoyed he can't race tonight. He's looking forward to this one. I would be very disappointed as well. I'd be so excited for this race. Road Atlanta is by far and away one of the best additions I think we've had to the Gran Turismo franchise since GT7 and GT Sport. A really great circuit. Encourages all different kinds of cars to take part. It's got handling complexes, power sections. So it really does come down to think who's got the best kit behind the wheel. See, I think Urban Fire with another penalty there, possibly running wide out of the downhill section, and puts him down into 4th place. He's going to lose another one to J-Lad. In the Scirocco, it's going to be close. Is J-Lad going to go for the undercut there? He's dived to the inside. Urban Fire leaves some space, but J-Lad will shut the door on the exit. Good driving there from J-Lad. Phil McFarlane trying to cheer on his friend Matthew Francis. He's hassling Urban Fire for P5. For P5. But he's got Tiddywink on his inside there, just about seeing on the edge of our shot, but now in the mirrors. Tiddywink had to concede there with a compromised line, meaning Matthew Francis, Chris Arthur 90 is now in P7. Matthew Francis running very wide there, clipping it back in nicely for that uphill turn, and this is one of the tricky corners, that blind hand there. Chris Arthur 90 with a lot more speed through it, but being blocked off by Matthew Francis. We're going to jump aboard, I think, from behind J-Lad to see these cars snaking their way up through the twisty complex of Sector 1. And important not to run wide here. I think we had a fairly decent exit up there, which is great for these guys. Tiddywink though with a penalty himself, a half-second penalty. We might well see Mike in another Sylvia swap positions here with him heading down the back straight. We've got Dauntless and Carl Matthew bring it home to the G70s. Oh, that is big contact from Tiddywink, unless that's a lag spike. I have no idea what's happened there, but he's now in the dirt, down to P9. I have to check one out in the race. I was looking at the comments, not at the racetrack. So Mike into P8, and with a good run of Matthew Francis, who I think has had it off there, might well be changing to P7. Look at all this traffic up ahead though. Really is tightly packed, while I think Jonathan and Nick Baker are trying to make a break for it. Chris Arthur at the inside of J-Lad. Urban Fire's off in the grass, has to try and rejoin somewhere safely, and gets mugged by Mike as well. Urban Fire has lost about 5 places, I think, in that section there. Absolutely disastrous for him. He's going to have to get a wiggle on if he wants to see some points tonight. Meanwhile, at the front, it is Jonathan leading by about half a second to Nick John Baker down in P2. Big Crazy Bertie starts to reel them in as well in P3. Also in the Sylvia, a very popular car on the grid tonight. And I think this where Sylvia will have a really good race. It's light enough to challenge the other cars through these sectors of the track, but also powerful enough to match them down the straight. So we see Bertie really reeling in these other drivers now, trying to make a move on the outside of Nick John Baker for P2. Not going to get done on the outside, I don't think. But he's going to try and maybe take his chances down the back straight, clips that apex really nicely. We'll ride on ball with him now as he heads down the straight. Dalton said balls to it, I want to race, I'm getting on the pad. So maybe no rig, but on the pad will be fantastic to see another driver on the grid tonight. It looks like, though, not such a good exit, though, from Big Crazy Bertie onto the straight. He's got some of the slipstream, but Nick John Baker is right up underneath Jonathan. Not close enough for a move, I don't think, but is there a late lunge on the brakes? No, not from here. Let's jump back a little way there. Chris R390 down in P4. Healthy gap to Matthew Francis, who is defending from J-Lad. Mike is just in the shot there in P7, that optical illusion looking Sylvia. Urban Fire with a disastrous start tonight, down into P8. Same for Tiddlywink, who climbed from last to second and is always back down in last again. He needs to get a move on. We've seen better from Tiddlywink in the past. Miles better. Looks like a little bit of lag issues, though, might be his problem. Skins out the back of the pack here in P10. Jonathan still being hassled by Nick Baker. They almost nose to tail as they head down the hill. Nick's poking his nose up the inside. Maybe just try and give Jonathan a bit of a distraction, but he's not going to bite that. Jonathan running onto the exit curve there. He seems a little bit wide. He might just get a penalty. He does indeed. Half-second penalty. Now, Nick John Baker does not have to make the move. If anything, he can keep Jonathan's pace up, keep his pace up, and use the slipstream instead down the straight to make sure that he has a clean overtake, which I think is what he's going to do here. So Jonathan will drop down to P2. I think P3 will be gone as well. Big Crazy Bertie will line up the pair of them down the straight here. Of course, we know it's going to be a half-second penalty for Jonathan, but if you watch that actually from a Chris R390's point of view, we'll see how much time that actually costs him. So rather than half a second, we have a look. That has probably cost him, say, the best part of a whole second as he gets back up to speed. So Jonathan, they're down into P3. Chris R390 trying to get it down from P4. Matthew Francis in P5, heading under the gantry here into the final corner. He's got J-Lad just behind him there in P6. Blaze, they're saying quality racing from the TCR2 guys, just amazing. It's what we love to see, as we love to see Matthew Francis at the purple lap. They're the fastest so far, a 1:26.2 onto lap 6 of 15, so we are nudging the halfway mark in the next lap and a half. Nick John Baker is our current leader, with Big Crazy Bertie in second, Jonathan Dwight to third following a penalty on the previous lap. Chris R390 being chased by Matthew Francis for P4 and 5 respectively. We've got J-Lad in P6, and a little way down the road, ART Mike, Urban Fire in P8. And at Teal with a shambles of a race by stands, it must be said, down in P9, with Skins at the back of the pack. The question here is now, with Nick John Baker, we've seen him with some great pace in previous races. Can he pull away from Big Crazy Bertie, who also has had a massive improvement since the start of the TCR series? Been really racking up the points since the competition began a few weeks ago. He's starting to reel in Nick John Baker just a little bit, but possibly not enough for a jump into the final corner. No, he's had a look, but not quite. A really good use of the inside curbs there from Bertie. Really minimised as he's got to travel through that corner, keep momentum up again. As I always say every week, these GR4 cars are all about preserving the momentum that they have. Did help him a little bit through that corner, but not a great final turn there, so he's lost a bit more time there to Nick John Baker. He's got to make sure he really puts his foot down, because Nick in the turret is going to struggle in the power section at the back of the circuit. He's pulled away from Jonathan, crucially, if he keeps his gap here, which looks like he might just do it. He's out of that 1 second boundary, so Jonathan will not have the benefit of the slipstream heading down into the second sector. Looking back there, Matthew Francis has made his way up into P4. Chris R390 must have had a massive off there. He's down in P8. Either a big off or a massive penalty, but J-Lad's made a benefit on that one, as has Mike and Urban Fire. Chris R390 down in P8 here. Tiddlywink is actually only 4 seconds off the pace, so it must be a massive accident I've missed there for Chris. Tiddlywink 9th and Skins in 10th in the Toyota Supra. And Chris Charles saying, is this race 1 or 2? This is race 1, so you've still got 2 more to go after this. 2.5 races left, I must say. As Nick John Baker leads them down the back straight. 2/10 up on the best lap from Matthew Francis. And now this final sector, that purple lap, will be his. Let's have a look. Plenty of inside curve there for the first one. Maybe a little bit more for the second one would have been good. just keeping it on the black stuff on the way out. That's the really tough corner there. It's quite blind trying to find where that rumble strip ends. But he has found it nicely in a 10th to pit Matthew Francis to the fastest lap by 1:26.1. Very good lap here from Nick John Baker, who's also improved massively since the start of the TCR Championship. It's about time he gets a win under his belt. Bertie has lost the slipstream to Nick in that final lap and has almost given it back to Jonathan, but I think he's just about kept him away there. Matthew Francis trying to hunt them down in P4. He's kind of on his own island for the time being. 2.5 down to Jonathan, 3.5 seconds away from J-Lad in P5, also on his own little space there. Mike in P6. You can see he's got 2 seconds either side of his. Urban Fire down in 7th. Large gap back there to Chris Arthur in 19, who's about kept T-Wink at bay there from P9. Then T-Wink has a sizable gap there, 16 seconds to Skins, who's making his way through the twisties at the top of the circuit. So not too much happening as it stands here on lap 8 of 15. You can see our front 5, or front 4 I should say, are now starting to keep each other in sight. If we go back to Matthew France very quickly, 4 seconds away from the lead. So as long as they all keep within that 1 second distance, they may well start pulling each other down the track and not many gains to make. So it's now about keeping our laps consistent here, making sure we don't make any mistakes. You saw from Chris only moments ago, one mistake cost him about 4 positions there, I think. So he's got to keep it clean. Kyle in the chat there saying, go on lads. Nice having you in chat, Kyle. Always good to have you in the chat. It looks like Bertie has made a move on Jonathan. I must have missed that one a moment ago. No, he's been playing the whole time. I think he enjoyed the penalty, of course. Goodness me, I'm absolutely frazzled, aren't I? So Bertie though is really catching the back there of Nick John Baker. He's only, I think, 3/10 out of that corner. Lost a little bit on the exit there. As I think it's like Dalton now in the room ready to join for race 2. I'm going to run on board there with Bertie in the silver. Let's see how he handles this double right-hander. You want to have your foot flat to the floor once you hit the apex. Wash out nice and wide. Nick seems to run a little wide of that apex there. Bertie cuts it a little bit tighter. You can see as a result on the delta top left, he's starting to gain very slightly on the Dutchman in front. Carter's one a bit quieter when I have to type. Chris Charlie saying, Beauty, come on Tiddles, go Lancaster in T1. Can Quinny and Chris, I can't have Quinny and Chris taking the lead goals, would never hear the end of it from Quinny. Boy, if Quinny watches this back, I think he knows who's coming after in the next series. Meanwhile, Big Crazy Bertie still coming after Nick John Baker, kept that delta within a second, taking another 2.5 tenths off of him through that final sector. I think now it's just about, you know, that kind of, he's the mouse with the carrot on the end of the stick in front of him. It's just got to make sure he keeps in touch with the guy in front but doesn't overextend. I'm sure many of us in the chat watching tonight know it's very easy to over push and surpass the limits in a way that isn't desired. Will end up off the track, penalty, or even worse, and absolutely put your race in the bin or in the mud, as I hear the phrases now. In the mud though, seems Nick John Baker wasn't quite enough in the mud to cut that corner. He's lost another 2.5 tenths there, so this is Bertie's chance to start reeling him in again down that long straight. See plenty of inset, and you see there from the input straight on the throttle, 100%. So his medium tyres are fairly good for these Group 4 cars, being quite light, a little bit underpowered. It's very encouraged to get back on throttle as quick as you can. You see there, Bertie is trying to chase down Nick John Baker. He's only 4 tenths behind now. 3.5 tenths ahead with that little right-hand kick down the hill. Nudging the top of 5th gear there. He's even going purple now, 1.5 tenths purple, but not quite close enough for a late lunge. Both drivers keeping that apex curve nicely, but Nick John Baker's quite still on the exit there, and Bertie is right up underneath the rear of that Toyota, being held up a little bit, in fact, I think there. 25.9, we're into our first 25. Bertie now takes the lead, they're side by side, heading into turn 1. Nick is going to let that one go and touch in Bertie's tyres. Screaming for grip there, he's almost in the grass, but they're side by side in the next braking zone. Nick, is he letting that one go? He is letting that one go. Very conservative driving there from Nick. That does allow Bertie into the lead. Aggressive driving there, but he's kept it on track to his merit. And now he's almost opened up that gap to 8 tenths. In fact, it is 8 tenths. he can make this corner stick and get the slipstream away as well. He's just pulling away, not quite at the slipstream though. That battling has brought John Baker a little bit closer to Jonathan down in P3. But I'm not sure that fight is going to heat up anytime soon unless there's a mistake. Matthew Francis down in P4. He's got lots of space there to the cars around him. Mike though being under pressure from J-Lad, doing 3 tenths down. Now, the Scirocco's going to have a hard time getting the power down the corner. You can see there his front tyres are very, very worn. It's not giving the best traction, but the Scirocco, what it lacks for in corner traction, it will make up for in power down the straights, and we should see him catch up to Mike. However, that corner exit really seems to have cost him, and Mike's just pulling away, even with J-Lad in the slipstream. Maybe the Scirocco could do with a BOP adjustment there as he heads into the final chicane. Trying to be later on the brakes there, but I think that has compromised his entry into the first corner and the second. You can see there Mike gaining twofold, I would say, through that final sector and leaving J-Lad in the dust and with no slipstream, I think, there. So he is now nowhere for the time being. Urban Fire 3 seconds off the back of that battle, and Chris Humphrey 90 with another off, it seems. I can only assume he's spun on the exit curb of that corner, and back again down into the bottom 3. He's down to P9 now from P8, so not great for Chris. But hopefully once or twice been fairly shy now, I'd hope. We've got 4 laps left here as Bertie heads into the double right hander. He's got a second over Nick John Baker. That should be enough, I think, for him to seal the win as long as he keeps it on track, because he will no longer have the slipstream. Having said that, Nick John Baker with a decent exit out the final corner, he will be desperate to stay no more than 9 tenths away from Bertie, and it looks like he is starting to gain back on him just a little bit at a time there. You see Jonathan and Matthew Francis just creeping into the back of our shot there. Just trying to keep the leaders in sight, keep the morale up. To follow Bertie into the final chicane. Yeah, probably taking a little bit more off the inside there, but avoiding the exit curb, as we've seen Chris has fallen victim to that one tonight. Jonathan are heading down the hill over the crest to start lap 30. Matthew Francis not too far behind, got a healthy gap there behind him though, so he can keep it on track, and that will guarantee some points for him. We've got Mike in P5 with 4 seconds either side, all to himself. J-Lad seems he had a really had a good time of it. It was only a couple of tenths back and is now 4 seconds away. Not the best lap for him, J-Lad. You can see there a 29.7, so well off the pace by his standards. Urban Fire might fancy a go at him now then, with only 1.2 seconds down, maybe 1.3 following that right hander there. We might see this battle heat up as we head into the last 3 laps of our race 1 here. Tillywick is in P8 still, having gotten past Chris following his incident. Chris is maybe being a little bit more careful now in P9. And at the back there, Skins is starting his third to last lap. Bertie is not pulled away from Nick John Baker, crucially. There's only 3 tenths in it. Is there a lunge on the cars into the final chicane? I wouldn't say so from here, but maybe Nick just giving him the eyes, look up the inside, so much to think about. I think he has had something else to think about. Bertie's gone wide at first apex. Nick's going to keep these ones nice and tight indeed, using all the exit curve. That's going to be another gain as they head down the hill. Let's run on the roof cam here as we see just how close they're going to be. They are almost nose to tail heading down the straight. Bertie defends to the inside. You think you're going to go for the sweep underneath? Bertie is a little bit wide the apex there. Nick is going to try and cut underneath, but Bertie has that one locked off, it seems. Nick John Baker with a brave move there around the outside and takes P1, sweeps right underneath Bertie, caught him napping there, and Nick John Baker resumes the lead of the race. Bertie down to P2. Have a quick look at the tyres. The tyre level is about the same. Bertie sideways on the grass, keeps it straight, but might well get a half-second penalty for cutting the track. We'll have to find out. There is half-second penalty, and that has definitely put paid to a P1 chance for him. That might even cost him P2. So, you know, with dirty tyres, Jonathan catching up just behind him, that could well put him in the clutches of Jonathan, maybe even Matthew Francis, who is right on the back here. So we're going to run the ball with Matthew Francis. See his exit there out of the double right-hander. Staying in the slipstream, Jonathan right up underneath him. We're going to see Bertie slow down for us just ahead of us over the nose of Jonathan's car there. How much is this going to cost him? 2 seconds down to Big Crazy Bertie as they head into the second chicane. Matthew Francis pushes the inside. Is there a lunge on the cars? He's really late on the brakes. John leaves the space, or not enough though. He turns into Matthew Francis, and if I'm Matthew Francis, I probably would have driven off there. Jonathan didn't leave the space on the inside, but very sportingly, it must be said, Matthew Francis will allow Jonathan to retake the place. So must commend Matthew there for his sportsmanship, but I do believe that one was on Jonathan, maybe not giving enough space on the inside. They were level there. It is the final lap. Owed to that penalty in that instant there, Nick John Baker is in P1. Bertie is in P7. Perhaps an off there at the top of the circuit I must have missed following these two having a coming together. Bertie down in 7th, so Nick John Baker with a fairly convincing lead now, it must be said. Jonathan P2, Matthew Francis P3 on the last 10% of fuel, so hopefully he's got enough to make the end of the race. If he runs out, he's got ART Mike behind for company as well, staying in the slipstream as well, so there's always a chance in these last few corners. Anything can happen. We have seen it happen. We're going to jump on the cockpit here with ART Mike, and let's see what he sees as Matthew Francis hunts down Jonathan for P2. I think we've got any penalties up ahead, so this is going to be a drag race to the very end. I think it's just too far away to jump on with Matthew Francis. Is there a dive bomb to be made? It is only race 1, but Jonathan knows this can be coming. He's going to defend to the inside. Matthew Francis may be baiting a mistake, but it's not going to happen, at least not on the exit there. Nick John Baker takes race 1 here at Road Atlanta, and Jonathan will just hold on there to P2. Matthew Francis following over the line in P3. Mike just about keeps P4, even though Matthew had a 1 second penalty added on to the end of his race time. J-Lab 5th, Urbanfire only half a second back there in 6th, Bertie in P7. Mr. Tiddlywink is coming around the final corner now, in any which way he can, for P8. And here Chris Arthur to come around the back of the track there, he's in P9. And last but not least, making his way into the final chicane is Skins in the Supra. Or rather more there with Skins as he makes his way through the last few corners. Nice line there from Skins, using all the track there and just about bringing it home. So that is our first race done. Our winner here in the Toyota 86, Nick John Baker. Don't go anywhere, we'll see you very soon for race 2 of 3 here at Road Atlanta. We'll be right back. So the lobby's getting prepared now for race 2 of 3 here at Road Atlanta. If you're just tuning in, or if you're one of the people that's watching, thank you, all one and the same. Our race winner there was Nick John Baker. Big Crazy Bertie was giving him a good run for his money, but a mistake, I think, on the penultimate lap gave it a fairly convincing win for the Dutchman. If I check my settings again, just a reminder, we are going to see... Oh, 1 second. It's all good. Wonderful. Just drop it in the kitchen. I'll sort it out later. Apologies for that. Obviously coming back home very late. Had no dinner. Realised there was nothing in the fridge. I'm sure we've all been there. Sorry, there's a nice, nutritious co-op pizza waiting for me. Other supermarket pizzas are available. So, as we said, Nick John Baker taking the win for that one, so he should be starting on pole. Fortunately as well, ART Owen Dalton is going to be joining this race as well. He couldn't sit back on the sidelines and watch his friends have all the fun, so he'll be joining on the pad for race 2 and race 3. You love to see more people in the lobby. Luke said, Squid, you left me Monday night after I waited for you. Could you tell me what you mean? I'm very sorry, it's completely wiped my mind. I'm sorry if you're waiting for me and I disappeared, but please tell me what I've done and I'll try and rake it right. Oh, goodness me. It's been a long day, my friends, to quote Wiz Khalifa. So anyway, we've got another 15-lap race on the cards here. Put in the comments who's your money on to win. We saw it, I think, from the start. Tiddlywink with his lightning start. We know he's got pace. He's got to keep it on the track, and I'm not sure he's going to have it in the bag. Matthew Francis also showed some really promising speed in this first race, so he'll be one to watch out for. I think my money is going to be on Big Crazy Bertie, because he's clearly got the pace, but Justin Kaczynski needs to be on top. So he'll be one to watch. I think my money's on him, but we again saw Nick John Baker. His consistency did earn him that win. So I think it'll be another close one between him and the Dutchman. Alright, so we're about to get underway for race 2 of 3. As always, if you like what you're seeing, drop a like on the video. I can't remember whose video I was watching, but he says at the end of his videos that if you did enjoy the video and you liked it, there is a button specifically for that. So I'll steal that one. I quite like that one. So please hit like if you enjoy the video, subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends, join our Discord in the link in the description for many more interesting leagues and series. Doesn't matter where you're from, what you race on, how good you think you are. One for everybody here at Amigos Racing Team. So I think that's our final red light, just in time. Let's get back into our spectate here. We wind the wall again with Chris R390 as he leads the pack. It looks like maybe a reverse grid, it seems here, a different layout. Yes, it is a reverse grid, because Nick John Baker's at the back. So Chris R390 leads them round the first corner there with Tiddlywink in very hot pursuit. And it looks like he's almost side by side. No, he's just not quite. He's shuffling side to side, but not side by side. I think we've all made it through the first few corners intact this time, which is always good to see. But Chris there, looks like he's not quite got the same pace as those guys behind him. A little puff of smoke, maybe with some bumper contact there as they head out of the twisties into the second sector. Tiddlywink still very much hot on his heels. This will be a push down the back straight, I'm sure. So Chris will lead them through there on the double right-hander. The Tiddlywink, not quite sure what line to take there, just sliding across the track, eventually picking one. We see Bertie though already up into P3, so good to see after his mistake he's going to keep the momentum going through the pack there. Nick John Baker carving through the pack as well from P9, I believe it would have been, or P10. Already up into P5, Matthew Francis trying to follow him through. ART Mike trying to follow him. There might be an overtake on here. Matthew Francis, after Finn, I think Mike had to have a little lift there, but maybe more assertion could have gone in that place. But he's been a bit more conservative at the start of the race instead, which of course is definitely no bad thing. Overfire in P9. Dalton made up 2 places at the start already in P9, sorry. Overfire's P8. And I think Jonathan has had a spin. It's like coming down the hill. Couldn't see what caused that one. But once the tyre stopped smoking, he'll find himself down in P11. So it's still Chris and Tiddlywink nose to tail heading through the twisty downhill section here of Road Atlanta. Tiddlywink is really trying to get the hammer down on him. You can see he's already broken that 1 second gap to Bertie. Tiddlywink actually inside Chris's car there, which is a little bit too close for comfort, I would say. But looking for a cheeky cutback on the exit possibly. No, it's not happening there. That has cost them time though, too. Big Crazy Bertie. I think that's half the deficit, in fact, actually, down to half a second. Even less now, as T-Rex really being held up by Chris. I think some tyre screen just behind us there. Is there any contact? Oh, I don't think so. I think they all just kept through in one piece. So we've got a trio at the front, 4, 5 and 6 trio as well, as Nick John Baker tries to pull out the slipstream of J-Lad. Like Chris Harvey United and T-Rex are going side by side. What a fantastic shot we've got here if I zoom in a little bit more. Seems that T-Rex have to tuck back into Chris Harvey United. We jump back to them. Is there a move on into the chicane? I'll zoom in one more time. Who is late on the brakes? They're both very late on the brakes. T-Rex not making the apex though. Have to cut back up the hill, it seems. And you have to be satisfied for P2 for the time being. Bertie still P3. Looking for a move on the outside, possibly. It's not happening there though. Nick John Baker is up into P4, so a huge resurgence from him on the first 2 laps. He'll be very happy. And a fastest lap to boot, a 1:26.4. But I'm sure we'll see that drop as the fuel lifts off and the cars lighten the load. Bertie trying to go around the outside of Tilly Wink though. Thought about it, ducked out of it. He'll have another go, I'm sure. We'll see him maybe a bit more confidence in the move next time. That's going to cost him some time to Nick John Baker though, who's catching him in P4. These two had a fantastic fight in race 1. I hope to see more of the same in race 2. You see some fighting behind there. Matthew Francis is trying to find a way past J-Lad, but he's giving himself a 1 second penalty for his troubles instead, I think, and that's going to cost him more than he was hoping to gain. We'll see Mike cruise up onto the back of him as he saves his penalty. Might even see Urban Fire just behind, try and scoop up P6, I think ultimately will be, as they head down the straight there. Dalton is just behind as well in P9. This is where the power of the Genesis opposed to the Toyota, providing he keeps in the slipstream, which he's trying to do here. Urban Fire making it hard for him. That is, looks like Mike trying to make his way past Matthew Francis. Is there a chance for Urban Fire to catch up before the corner? I don't think so. It's going to be close. But no, Urban Fire's going to have no chance of making that move there. Although he's off on the grass again. Oh, that's a very crazy rejoin. Good move from Dalton, to be fair. Not the best rejoin there from Urban Fire. But maybe a little chat with him possibly after the race. But Dalton very cleverly getting out of the way there, keeping P8 and avoiding damage. Skins there in P10. Jonathan not having a great race tonight, still in P11. There's a yellow flag up ahead. Who has gone off? It is Big Crazy Bertie again. That's cost him another chance at some top points there, down to P8. Maybe P9 actually. You know, P10 as Skins gets past him too. But you know, he's to shift down some gears and get some progress. Or Jonathan's going to have him as well. And in fact, Jonathan is just behind, having to lift off, I think. Make sure there's no contact with Bertie. Not having a great time of it tonight at Road Atlanta. Christopher 90 has managed to fend off Tiddlywink for the best part and actually get 2 seconds up on him as well, which he'll be relishing. Of course, we said at the start of the show, he and his partner Quinny in Tier 1 are in with a chance of winning the championship team score. Of course, each driver with a team member in Tier 1 and Tier 2. Christopher 390 is now setting the pace league. He's 2 and a bit tenths up in out of the second sector, of course. We'll see if he can best Nick John Baker's time there for 1:26.4. The car's already down a quarter tank of fuel. Should be easy enough to make it to the end of the race. 26.4, so just about beats that purple time there, not by much. Yeah, Nick John Baker there. His task now is to reel in Mr. Tilly. You can see he's got his right hand indicator on. Very kind of him to show the drivers which way he's going to be turning. Fortunately for him, it is a clockwise track, so he'll be turning right more than left, which is always practical. We've got J-Lad here in the Scirocco doing very well, must be said. The front wheel drive cars are suffering, especially these handling sectors of the circuits, but he's done very well to keep it up in P4. The only front wheel drive driver on the grid, to my knowledge. Good on J-Lad. Mike there up into P5. He's got 2 seconds clear of Dalton in P6. We've got past Urban Fire's questionable rejoin there. Matthew Francis though has lost a couple of positions, it seems, following his penalty. And behind Dalton as well, both of them in the Genesis G70. This could well be a move heading down into the chicane, so let's have a look. Not had the best exit though, I don't think, there, Matthew Francis. He's losing some time on the exit, but will make some of it a little bit back up in the slipstream. Probably still only maybe 4.5 tenths at best by the time they get down to the chicane. In fact, he's still losing time. until they really get some serious speed up there. So we're going to see just how close they are. It's still going to be about 4.5 seconds as I predicted. Nowhere near enough to make a move, but it does take a good line there, cutting plenty of the grass on the way in. That saved him a tenth or so, but not quite as much on the way out. That's going to cost him again as they head down the hill into the final sector and are over the line. On 1:26.2 though, a very good lap time there for Matthew Francis. If he'd nailed that last call, we might want to have seen a 25 there. Let's look at the inside of Dalton, who at least he's trying to show his nose. Trying to coerce him into a mistake. It's not happening though. And it looks like Chris has only got the lead from Nick John Baker now. He's up into P2 again. Some really quick pace from him tonight, starting from the back of the pack, I think second last, up into P2 with not even half the race to go. He'll be annoyed to see his purple lap has been stolen from him by Matthew Francis, but I'm sure he'll have more to say about that as the race continues. Still 2 seconds the gap there to our lead driver, but he's dropping that gap nicely with a very snazzy double right-hander there, very smooth on his way through. This, however, is where the Toyota suffers in the straight lines, and it looks like the Genesis up in front, just with that big V6, is putting a little bit farther. Tidwick is trying to keep his way away from J-Lad in P3 and P4. Couldn't tell if that was a penalty or not there. The Genesis doing very well to keep it together. Mike is trying to fend off Dalton and Matthew Francis behind him there. Dalton will, it's a huge shot from Dalton there. Mike in the dust. Dalton as well pulling off to the left hand side to let them through. But Urban Fire will lick his lips and say thank you very much. He's up into P6. Skins will take both of them up for P7. And Dalton very gently there letting off left for Mike for P8 and 9 respectively. Jonathan just about see him heading out of the bridge there in P10, and Bertie still at the back of the pack there. Another mistake at some point there, must be for him, in P11. So Skins must be really enjoying himself here now. Found himself at the back of the pack in the last race, and with some freebies, he's up in P7 on lap 7. Let's hope he can keep those places a little bit longer. He's got Urban Fire 6 seconds up the road. I'm not sure Urban Fire's going to be too worried about him unless there's a mistake, but he's to focus on chasing down Matthew Francis. Still got that purple fastest lap there, 1:26.2. Last lap on 1:29.4, so by far and away not his best showing. Perhaps a penalty there that was served off screen that I may have missed, or a little excursion into the grass. Jay's got a 1.5 lap to Tidwick in P3. Tidwick with a 1.5 penalty. Let's see how much this cost him actually. Now 1.5 seconds. J-Lad is already on him, plus the deficit they'll have to serve by the time he gets to the corner. And that's actually turned that into a 3-second penalty. Let's have a look. In fact, pretty much a 3.5 second penalty there. So really amplified all the time he's lost on the brakes there. And he's got to be very careful, just about keeps it on the track there. But a prime example for you guys watching at home on screen, just how big these penalties are, especially when served on the straight sectors like that. It's a really horrible place to have to serve a penalty, but that'll teach Tidwick a lesson about track limits, I hope. Chris RP90 still leading the race here from Nick John Baker in P2. He's got just about a second in hand to the Dutchman, but you can see that is being chewed away as they head through the downhill sector out of the first section of the track. I think Nick John Baker's been a little bit more committed through the corners. He can afford to do so with the Toyota being that bit lighter compared to its peers. But you can see the Genesis pulling away at the very exits of these power zones. Nick though being very aggressive through that last corner. He's taken another 10th out of Chris on the entry, but didn't quite make it on the way out. That may well cost him down the straight, and again if he loses the slipstream, which he's about to do, that's going to be even more painful to watch the Genesis just pull away into the sunset, or perhaps into the fog. I think it should say here. Chris RP90 almost 2 tenths up on the purple lap set by Matthew Francis a few moments ago. Let's see if he can come home around lap 8 with the fastest lap of all so far. We still haven't seen any drivers get into the 25s in this race. We saw 25.9, I believe, at the end of the previous one. What we're going to see here from Chris, it's not going to be a 25, it's not even going to be a fastest lap, so throwing some time away in the final sector there. Nick John Baker though will be looking forward to catching back up. He set his personal best at 1:26.3, so only half a tenth in fact away from the best of this race. These two are in a class of their own so far. J-Lad in P3, Tiddlywink though is chasing him down in the Sylvia in P4, not far away at all. Matthew Francis up into P5, Urban Fire in 6th. He's got 10 seconds in hand to Mike and Dalton following there, coming together a few moments ago. They're down in P7 and 8. They've gotten past Skins into P9, who's holding up Bertie and Jonathan. We'll jump aboard there with Jonathan just to see where exactly these guys are being held up. Skins hasn't had the best exit in that blind right-hander as they follow him down the hill, maybe a bit more cautious on the throttle as well. Let's see, Jonathan's really trying to find a way past Bertie, perhaps thinking about using Skins to block him off, but instead Bertie uses the power to try and open up a gap on the inside of this double right-hander. It's going to be a late lunge. There is going to be a lunge there. Jonathan, very late lunge as well from him. He's going to try and follow through there, side by side into the double right-hander. Skins turns in on him there. Jonathan, oh, there's some door banging. It's a bit of an ugly move, but he has gotten past. I think Jonathan is a bit more conservative, could go around the outside or use the slipstream and make a definite move down the straight. Regardless, he's up into 10th place. Bertie's up into 9th. Dalton in 8th, Mike in 7th, Urban Fire 6th, Matthew Francis 5th, he's got 3 seconds either side, so he's got some ground to gain. Tiddlywink in 4th, here's a big fight here then. Tiddlywink versus J-Lad, we're going to see that front wheel drive car understeering a little bit through these 20 sectors where the Sylvia thrives compared to the Scirocco. But a bit of lack of confidence there, I think, through this sector is costing Tiddlywink rather than gaining him any time. He's lost about 2/10 through that sector there. He's really committed now, heading up the hill and into the second sector. A little bit off track there. Is there going to be a penalty for him? No, I think he's just about kept it safe. Oh, for a second I thought he was going off the track, but must be a connectivity issue there. Let's see how close he's now to J-Lad. He's very close there, 3/10 heading out of the double right, but I don't think he's going to have enough of momentum to secure a dive bomb into the chicane, nor will Nick Baker there with 5/10 down there too. Chris, I must have said I think he's braking a little bit early there. No trying to preserve his tyres or keep the balance of the car, but I think he can afford to be a little bit later on the brakes. Meanwhile, Tiddlywink and J-Lad still going hammer and song. A bit of a bump in there from J-Lad and Tiddlywink. I think two did lift off there. Maybe J-Lad's encouraged him to keep going, it wasn't his fault. So these two will still be very close heading on to lap 11 it seems. But Tiddlywink there, however he's made it work, up into P3, J-Lad down to P4. Matthew Francis now, as we look back there, is trying to pick up the dregs of this battle in P5. This could get quite hot as we head into the final few laps there. J-Lad's gone wide off the track, a little bunny hop there on the cones. I hope J-Lad's get reset for that. That's quite a long way around he's gone. Bit of a bump there onto Matthew Francis. J-Lad in the dirt, Tiddlywink in the wall. Urban Fire taking 2 places. Maybe a third one based on Matthew Francis. Have a look, he's going to slow down. Urban Fire from midfield obscurity up into P3. Matthew Francis, you cannot wait there if someone's coming through with speed. J with engine damage there goes past Matthew Francis, as does Mike as well. He'll take a 3 places as well. And goodness me, what's happening in the midfield here? Tiddlywink catching up to Matthew Francis as well. This will be a big assessment of that replay, I think, to find out what's going on there. But Tiddlywink will not be happy at all. Goes our face first in the wall. And all 3 of these guys now are almost back together again. Do we really want to see that? Dalton as well catching up to this pack too, so he might have a couple places to pick up following this scuffle. But you see Dalton's tyres there on the front, very worn, already halfway gone. He's only got 4 more laps to go after this. But perhaps being on the pad, not a change that Dalton has been acclimatised to very quickly. You see a real traffic jam starting to pile up through the chicane. It's getting very nervy now. You've got 4 drivers vying for, I think, what's ultimately 5th place. If you see the front of that train, that is 5th place, yes. I believe that is J-Lad just ahead of Matthew Francis. So all the 4 drivers here separated by about a second, I think. Dalton runs very close to running off the track, but does not do so. Let's run with him a little bit longer as he's got front row seats to this battle there. Genesis spitting massive flames out the back there. Love to see those finally brought back into Gran Turismo. Tiddlywink with a half-second penalty for exceeding the track limits there. That's going to cost him on the way up. As it looks like J-Lad's gone straight up into the barrier. Matthew Francis possibly having put him there. He's lifting off. So another 2 places for Dalton and Tiddewink. That'll be a 3rd place for Dalton once Tiddewink has to serve his penalty. If Dalton then lifting off early, being a little conservative with Tiddewink's internet there. Again, no, he doesn't have to fight for this place. It will be given to him as long as he stays relatively in touch. So that should be an easy place there. Bertie, I think, having taken 2 places there off of J-Lad and Matthew Francis. Jay with a half-second penalty as well. So that'll be Jonathan making his way past him too. And possibly even Skins. If he, probably Matthew Francis should say, has to keep in touch. Let's have a look. Skins is not too far off. We see there J-Lad put into the left-hand side to serve his penalty. Jonathan goes through. Matthew Francis just about goes through as well. Skins is not in with a shot to get him at the moment. So another big jolt of internet there. But kid's got to keep it on the track. Oh, he's just ticked it on. I was saying before at the start of the race, that rumble strip is an absolute nightmare if you don't get it right. And he's in the wall now. Not sure what's happened there. Big internet ditch there for Skins. Chris Arthur 90 is still in the lead. He's got 2.5 laps to go. He's still fending off Nick John Baker, but Nick crucially has a half-second penalty. That is going to get him out of the slipstream, and he's going to have a lot of uphill fighting to do if he wants to regain P1. We'll see here he's 3 tenths back plus the half-second off the throttle. He's now 6, 7 or 8 tenths, 9 tenths. Now he's got no slipstream, so we have to fight really, really hard there. Throw that Toto around like his life depends on it. He wants a chance at keeping in touch with Chris. He's already taken 2 tenths out of him already, and in fact, Chris with a really quite poor chicane means that Nick John Baker, if he keeps it planted, is still in with a shot of keeping the slipstream, so he's still in with a shot of the race win. Incredible. So from 1.3 seconds down, he's taken in that half-second straight back, almost like that penalty didn't matter. We could even have seen him take the lead away if he'd not had that penalty, so Chris will have to bear that in mind. He needs to have his foot down. Home Fire as well needs to have his foot down to keep what will be a very fortunate P3 for him following some dubious driving, it must be said. Urban Fire, oh, he's had to lift there to keep it on the Black Star. Very safe there from Urban Fire. I say safe, that's a very good save. It wasn't safe, it was a good save. Mike in P4, 5-6 seconds either side of him. Bertie in P5, he's got Dalton hunting him down still for P6. This one's going to go down to the wire, I'm sure, unless there's a late mistake. Cresting the hill there is Tiddewink there in P7. He's got Jonathan 3 seconds back. Matthew Francis is 1 second down there. J-Lad down in P10 following his penalty and a subsequent excursion in 10th there. Skins at the back for the time being. Nick John Baker though still just hanging on to the slipstream by the skin of his teeth, but he needs to make a couple more gains through the corners. Have a look here. Chris not quite clipping the curb, but you see there Nick John Baker using it all the entry curb. A little bit of mud for good measure, but that's a bit too much mud, I think. He's kept it on the straight and narrow, but that's cost him. Looks the best part of 2 seconds, I would say. Even more so as they head onto the final lap. It looks like he's lost, I'd say, 2.5 to 3 seconds with that mistake there. Cause of course, once you lose it out of that final chicane, you are flat out all the way into turn 1. 3.5 seconds is the last thing you needed to lose on that lap there. Overby still third, Mike there still fourth, Bertie fifth, has taken the second away from Dalton there. Dalton, who was right up underneath him only about a minute or so ago, perhaps with a penalty or a trip off the track, put him down into P6 almost certainly. Tiddewink down in P7, and maybe he can hunt down Dalton. They're side by side down there for 8th and 9th. Matthew Francis versus Jonathan. Matthew Francis is trying to hang it around the outside. John look at the inside. Matthew Francis has held it too wide, clipped the grass, but maybe a lack of safety in there and keeps it on the track. This is getting very dark now indeed. So Matthew Francis trying to fend off Jonathan here. Still fighting at the top and the bottom of the grid. We love to see that here at Amigos Racing Team. You can too. You can not just see it, but you can be a part of it. Hit the Discord link in the description. Join our leagues and races and our various series that are going on. You will have some fantastic racing, I can guarantee. Matthew Francis seems to have just about edged away there from Jonathan. He's pulled out that gap to over a second. If he can keep it, that will guarantee Jonathan has no slipstream down the back straight. A strange line there from Matthew Francis, but it has just about worked. Chris RF90 takes the win. Nick John Baker will come round in P2. Urban Fire is looking for third. I think Mike will settle for fourth as well. Bertie, though, is just about going to hold off Dalton for P5. It looks like Dalton with a huge comeback, it seems, to try and reel in that other half second to a second, but it's not quite worked out for him on the way up the hill. It's going to be fairly close to that line, but Big Crazy Bertie should take P5. Dalton takes 6th there, and they continue in 7th. Matthew Francis, who had a shot at a podium there, some unfortunate incidents there, down in P8. Jonathan in 9th as well. J-Lad as well had a huge shot at the podium, was racing so well, especially as well for the front wheel drive Scirocco. Really had to absolutely rag it through this second race. We're disappointed with P10, but we'll see what he's got for the final race in race 3 in a few moments. So we've got Skins here coming round for the final few corners of his race 2. Perhaps not the fastest driver on the grid tonight, but definitely the most conscientious. It's nice to see that even if he has been at the back for a while, he's not thrown in the towel. We do always encourage drivers to stick it out. There's always a learning opportunity. There's always something to benefit from pushing through the race. And he takes home at 11th place. Our race winner for race 2, Chris R390. We're back shortly for race 3 of 3 and the final race of TCR Season 2. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a dark one, I think. So those of you watching at home, I think there's 9 of you watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in. We are only a little while away from our final race of tonight and our final race of the TCR Season 2. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. I can only apologise for what I must admit has been a disappointing regularity in the commentary by my standards. I've had a couple of things with work life getting in the way. Of course, I didn't want to miss the finale, didn't want to miss sharing some incredible scenes with you guys at home. And of course, if you want to catch up on the series that's been running so far, all these videos of course are on our channel, as well as the original TCR series from GT Sport. We're also streaming the ART Academy for our upcoming drivers, making it up into our fully fledged team and taking part in some team versus team races. We are hopefully going to have a race with the Teach Me community racing team. And a couple of others as well, which is to be announced in the upcoming future. Should be a very exciting prospect indeed. And as always, if you want to get involved in our leagues and series, please join us in the Discord using the description, the link in the description. We don't mind what driver safety rating you are. We don't mind if you're on a wheel or a pad. We don't mind whichever part of the world you're from. We are just happy to expand the community and get as many people on track as possible. We know the daily race is going to be a nightmare at the best of times. So if you're done with being punted into the wall by some randoms on the internet, then come and join our community, get some safe and fun, exciting racing, a mixture of formats, a mixture of types of cars and categories. I guarantee you have a fantastic time with us. I think we are over 600 strong. We're looking to make 1,000 over the next few months. Would be amazing. And of course, most importantly, next Thursday we've got a very special event planned to raise money for Cancer Research UK in honour of 2 of our founding members who unfortunately were diagnosed last year. I'm aware that one of them is going through treatment at the moment, starting their treatment, while the other one seems to be looking to make the fledgling recovery. So of course we wish those 2 the very best. They know who they are, they know we're all behind them. And if you'd like to take part, or again if you'd at least like to just donate to Cancer Research out of the goodness of your heart, we would more than welcome that. And again, you can find all the information on our website, amigosracingteam.co.uk, or in our Discord. So, with that said, I hope we're going to be starting very soon, our final race tonight. And again, who's your money on in the comments? Please let me know who you're looking to race, or who you're looking to win. We saw Chris RV90 had a very good performance tonight. Nick John Baker did push him very far, so I'm not sure if I want to jump between Nick or Chris. I'm torn here. Chris Char in the comments saying, if my calculations are correct, that win gives Chris RV90 a 6-point league advantage over Tiddles going into the last race. If it's 6 points into the final race, then Tiddles has to put his foot down. Mr. Tiddlywink, this is a make or break moment for you. Starting from P4, so he has a really solid chance of taking maybe not just the race win, but the series win for Tier 2. He will be so keen. Chris Char, thank you for giving me that information, by the way. I don't often see the leaderboard. I just forget to check it, but thanks for letting me know the live timings. You are one of the realest. One of the people of all time. Anyways, we're about to get underway. Our 5 red lights, and away we go. Let's get back on track as quick as we can. That is Tiddlywink, looks like with an electric start off the grid, exactly what he needs for his championship hopes. He's going to be in the lead by the time he gets to turn 1, but will he have the race line? He will indeed. And Tiddlywink, all he's got to do is keep it clean and get it home. So it's not kept it clean at the back of the pack is Jonathan. He is off in the grass already, as Nick John Baker's also had a very poor start. It seems maybe a jump start, and to avoid Jonathan there, get around him for P10. But I'll say he was also my race favourite for tonight. But I have to jump away from that now. A half-second penalty as well. He's got a lot of ground to gain. Tiddlywink though, we're already with a 2-second lead over the next driver. If he can keep it off the grass, I should say, if his internet hopes so, this will be his race. So Chris, they're saying that R390's got a 6-point lead over Tiddles, but of course, I'm a big Tiddlywink fan. I've always been a big Tiddlywink fan. He's one of the nicest guys in our community, and I would love to see him snag a championship. I don't know if he's got any gold medals yet. If anyone on Discord is watching, please check if Tiddlywink has a gold medal to his name, because if he doesn't, then he damn well deserves one. 3 seconds away. Interesting line there. Is that him actually in the gravel? I can't tell. He might well be. He's rejoining there, and now J-Lad's gone past. Dalton's gone past. Matthew Francis, IFT Mike, and Chris RV90 both battling there for P4. Both past Mr. Tiddlywink, who's down to 8th place. I've cursed the commentator. Should have kept my mouth shut. Tiddlywink now down to the back of the pack. What has happened there? Nick John Baker in the pits? Why is he in the pits? Very strange. He's not getting a tyre change, so possibly he's had to leave the race for something urgent. I can only imagine that's something serious. Hopefully everything's okay with Nick. But for the time being, that means Dalton, of all people, finds himself in the lead, followed by Matthew Francis, the 2 Genesis G70s leading the way. Chris R390 trying to hunt them down. But, what's happening? We've got a disconnection. I think we're all backing out. I can't tell what's happened here. Let's see, everyone is disappearing one by one. So, let's see if anyone racing can let me know on the stream, please, what has happened, because it's not like us to abandon the race after lap 2 with all the drivers still on the field. So I'll keep my eyes on the comments, so I'll know as soon as you do. So I think the comments just coming through here. Tiddles has 2 gold, a silver and a bronze. Oh, she's got 2 golds already. Someone else needs to have a chance then. So I think we're just waiting for Nick to back out of the track here. I'm not too sure what's happened with his race. Might have to dive into the pits. John says, I think Nick is broken. Well, hopefully he's not broken. Hopefully everything's okay on his end. But of course, we can't restart the race until we go. Oh, apparently, Nick was otherwise occupied. I'll leave that one up to your decision, up to your judgment, your imagination. But it's suffice to say, he was not sat in front of the television. Possibly sat somewhere else. That's there. Chris Char in the comments, they're saying Tiddles had too much of a good start, so they had to reset the race. Oh, so I had to nerf Tiddles. That's what it is. Oh, I'm trying to think of what's the phrase. It's you cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. The fury that is Mr. Tiddlywink. I've seen WGK as well in our Discord saying, good race tonight, lads. The lag looks horrible at times. It does look pretty bad. I guess we can't really pin it down on one person in particular, but it's not been great. So Tiddles with 2 golds, 1 silver, 1 bronze. Chris Char says Chris R390 has 1 gold and 1 bronze. So he's still yet to add a silver to his collection, which could happen if Tiddles takes the gold. But of course, I think Chris will be very happy if he gets his 2nd gold of the second of current season at ART. For those of you who aren't familiar, if you do end up in a 1st, 2nd or 3rd in the end of a championship, you get a little medal next to your name in the Discord. I think some of our members have longer medal strings than they do usernames at this rate. Looks like our lobby's shut down for the time being. Maybe we need another lobby to open up. I can only assume they're doing this to try and eliminate any issues of lag. So a little bit slow exiting the lobby, it must be said. Maybe some faults on Gran Turismo's end of things, maybe some maintenance on behind the scenes, we can't quite tell. Right, let's back out of that one just for a second then. Of course, known issues on the bottom of our screen there. Dalton as well, a certified polyphony moment. God, I think we've had plenty of certified polyphony moments. I guess that's known in the trade as a pro gamer move, I think. That could be me showing my age or lack of meme content, which I believe is also technically cringe. Oh, Chris got DC'd, so they need 5 minutes to restart the lobby. Right, so if we restart the lobby, let's see if I can kill some time with a fly lap around Road Atlanta with you guys. Let's find it on the highlights here. Have I gone blind? No, I haven't gone blind. There we go. Chris Charles says, time to put the kettle on for the last race. Okay, well, what you do then, let's try and keep you guys with something to watch while we're setting up the lobby. Let's get myself in a group 4 car. What are they driving tonight? Let's find something fun. Category would be helpful, wouldn't it? Group 4. We've seen some 86s. We've seen the Supra. Let's represent the Supra for our man. Where is he? Skins. Put the mediums on. Let's see what we can get done. So I assume we're looking for a 125 at race pace. Now, of course, I'm normally on the wheel myself. I'm lucky enough to have the Fanatec DD Pro, which I think finds itself more often upside down than it does the right way up, given I have a tendency to be off track, facing the wrong direction. But let's see if we can set a competitive lap, see where I'd be placed in the standings. So, from what I understand, a little dab of the brakes there, down to 5th. Maybe not like that. That's definitely not how to do it. Of course, I'm going in cold as well. So a little bit more conservative from me, but no squid spins on the stream tonight, those of you watching at home. Now, this is our tricky corner here, blind apex. You want to cut that back on the power, and ideally just feathering the throttle as we head down this snaking section here. I've turned a little bit too early there, but back on the power, not too much loss there. Braking in a straight line, down 2 gears, let it coast through, a little bit of exit curb, won't be too bad. Chris Boo in the chat there, hello Chris, hope you're doing well. flatten the power here, maybe looking for this darker racing line down to third gear, clip the apex nice and tight, back on the throttle, and then braking again on a blind apex. I've missed that one there in the dark. That's cost me on the way out here. So back on the power there, up into fourth, up into fifth to Tota, that nice throaty BMW straight six, and the BMW i Supra M, whatever it's been called in the comments, I'm sure. Let's try and pick out my braking point here in the dark. I think it's just before the rumble strip appears. Yeah. Let's see, down to third, coast it in. A bit more apex would have been nice. Let's play the throttle through there so I don't get caught on the way out. It's going to be a dreadful lap, of course, having gone off at the start. See if we can get one more nice one in before the lobby reappears. So a 1:30, which would have beaten Tiddles on the qualifying, of course, but I guess because we probably had a slightly worse incident than I did. A bit earlier, the brakes more conservative, I think, this time. That should be okay. I could have run further out there. You can cut across the pit exit there. Let's see, there's my apex tapping the brakes there. It's got me off balance there, but just about saved it, I think. Yeah, tyre screen, that's not good. Turning a bit early again. Grab the throttle, keep it on the track. Just about. Oh, that's going to be a drifty boy there. Oh, I'd save it. Saved it, but that'll get me a penalty, definitely, won't it? I think. Oh, no penalty. I must have taken that so badly, the game's taking pity on me. It's be another certified polyphony moment, I think. Let's try and find the apex this time. There we go. Oh, bit of understeer. Going to have the brakes a little earlier there. So we might just about see that 126 if we're lucky. Maybe even the 25 if we've got our foot down. Just going to wait for someone there. Don't seem to restart the lobby, so in that case, let's see if I can give you guys a gauntlet to throw down as we head into the final sector. Let's have a look. Is that white line just before the white line? Or coming a bit hot there, I think. Yep, definitely a bit too hot there. Up in the third gear. Don't spin it on that curve. Yep, that's the one. 21, 22. Are we going to get that 25? I think we might just sneak it. Oh, 26.0. Well, not my best time by any means. But there's definitely some time for me to find there, absolutely. Anyways. Enough of me. Let's get back to what's more important. Let's get back into our main lobby. Return to the map. Let's join them for race 3. So the lobby seems to be back up now. So I see a message here from Chris in the Discord going, oh! I'm sure if he was a certain Formula 1 team manager and CEO, there might be some headsets being smashed on the desk. But I think we should be okay for our final race now. And there we are. So I think we have to just wait for Jonathan to get ready. I think we're all here. Are we missing anyone? I don't see Skins. Who else is missing from this? I can't quite tell. So I think we've got a couple of people left to rejoin. Perhaps maybe they're getting their internet checked out as well. Oh, so we've got another lobby glitch. These are people stuck on this track again. Hopefully they'll be fine when the race actually starts. But of course, Gran Turismo 7 being Gran Turismo 7, it is what it is. But I'm sure we'll be underway in a few moments. I'm going to get a quick drink in the meantime. Please don't go anywhere. Race 3 is happening shortly. Oh, there we go. So we can jump out onto the pits. Fantastic. So, in that case, let's see if we can get one more good lap around here before we end up in trouble. So, just waiting for one more, two more people to enter the track. Race 3 eventually. Yeah, I know, Matthew. I feel you there. assume maybe there might be someone having a quick peek. Some of the drivers will be joining us on track now as well to get warmed up for the final one. Oops, left that one a little bit wide, haven't I? Start it out though for the stream, start it out. So, a bit confused as to why we started on a 25% fuel, because I don't think we're qualifying again. I hope not. And also, I think it's a little bit too bright. I'm pretty sure we're expecting a night race for the last one, so hopefully that will be addressed before we get going. Oops, that's not the line. That's definitely not the line. And a half-second penalty for it as well, so we'll back out of that one. Let's see how we're doing with our drivers entered. I better jump off the track, I think. Looks like we're still waiting for skins. Is anyone else moving on the track? Matthew Francis is up, that's good. Urban Fire's having a spin on the start line, fantastic. Tilly and Dalton are stationary, which isn't great. I might see they might need to maybe jump out and jump back in. I think that actually will fix itself when they get going. If anyone is actually in the lobby and on watching the stream, could you give us any hints to what's happening with any missing drivers, just so I can keep the stream updated as well, because I'm running out of things to say. And I don't mind going out for another outlap if the stream wants to see me drop another spin for the funsies. But if you've got anything to contribute while you're waiting, I would be more than happy to hear it. I'll tell you what then, while we're waiting for our final go, let's see if we can get one more lap in. We know there's a 125 waiting in there somewhere. If we're lucky, we might maybe even catch someone going around the corner. Oh, Bertie's setting the grid, skins can't rejoin. Thank you very much then, Bertie, I appreciate that very much. In that case, I probably want to be off the track, so let's do that now. Of course, we've got some standard polyphony moments here with Dalton and Tiddlywink stuck on the grid. That should be fine as they get ready. I think Matthew Francis in the top of our shop there, exploring the limits of grip, I'm supposed to put it artistically. And Urban Fire trying the very unique Road Atlanta reverse layout that we don't normally see. But I think we are now just about ready to get underway. Let's have a look. If we're getting our 5 red lights, we are indeed. So we don't have skins for this final round, unfortunately. But we do have our 5 red lights. JLad once more on pole position. Let's jump back in. I hope we should get our cinematic camera now. We do indeed. Not a good start there for JLad. Tiddlywink hasn't had the same electric start he did before. That belongs to Jonathan and Matthew Francis. I think the 4-wheel driver, that Genesis, always helping off the line. He's going to try and sweep around JLad for P2. He just about makes it stick, but someone is in the dirt already. I think there's someone sideways as well. Bertie is sideways and nose first in the wall, as well as Mr. Tiddlywink went off first there. So that is going to really harm his championship hopes. We know he needs to beat Chris R390 to take home the gold medal, or at least I think will beat him by quite a few places, I would assume. So he's going to have a struggle there. Chris must be about 5th or 4th, I think. There he is in P5. And I think Matthew Francis is considering a move there on JLad. Oh, they are very close. No contact for the time being. I think Matthew Francis will have the better run out of the corner. In fact, no, neither of them will. They'll both be in the dirt. Dalton says thank you very much and takes 2 places. Looking further down the grid there, I think that is, that's not Urban Fire. Nick John Baker was contemplating, I think, getting a double pass done, but I think he must have had Tiddlywink off onto the grass. He's letting go, and ART Mike is catching up behind him at considerable speed. At the back of the pack, though, Mr. Crazy Bertie had a bit of a crazy race 3, and he's at the very back of the field, far from where he needs to be. Jonathan, though, very happy with where he is so far. 1.5 seconds, though, not a great exit off the chicane, but 1.5 seconds nonetheless, away from Dalton in P2. He's got a good gap there to Jalen in P3, and he is the cork in the bottle here with Matthew Francis and Chris R390 bearing down. Chris looking for the move on Matthew Francis. He's going to make it past Matthew, almost takes out Jalen, but dodges it. Matthew Francis, though, with a very slick cutback indeed on Chris. Thank you very much indeed. I think I've seen a cutback that nice since I was last scaring the discount shelves, and as the Matthew Francis, though, up into P4 once again. J-Lad there is trying to hunt down Dalton, who's not had a great run through his middle sector, maybe a little off that went off camera. And J-Lad running very wide there on the exit curve. He's going to incur a penalty for his troubles. He will indeed. He's got a half-second penalty. Matthew Francis looking for a move around the outside, but it is not necessary. He can simply wait for the straight and we'll have him on the penalty zone. But again, way too aggressive there for Matthew Francis. Puts J-Lad into the wall, into the very back of the circuit, and that is far from ideal. J-Lad does rejoin, it seems. Matthew Francis again, courteously waiting for him, but another movement there, kind of encouraged with impatience rather than racecraft, and that was something he's going to have to work on as he carries on the series. Mike, though, looking to make a move around Nick John Baker and Tinwick. They are 3 wide. John Baker very early on the brakes there. Mike on the outside of Tinwick and trying to get the move on Baker on the exit, but it's not going to happen as they head up the hill. Maybe move it into the braking zone of turn 1. We'll run on board with him as he hunts him down there. Again, a bit of side-side shimming there with the lag. Mike is definitely not on the grass there. Braking just as the cones end. A good brake mark, I think, then. Nick John Baker very wide, but just keeping it on the yellow and blue exit curve there. Mike, though, with a better exit up the hill, is trying to get away. Urban Fire's gone very wide there. Nick John Baker around the outside. Very snazzy move there from the rival Toyota. And Urban Fire's just got momentum to keep him away. Tinwick there with contact on Mike. Mike is sideways left and right, and he's racing backwards. Almost nails the 360 there, but to no avail. Tinwick there is just up ahead and kept driving. I don't know if there's going to be a comment in the chat there from those two. That's not gone very well. Matthew Francis with a penalty to his name as well. So Tinwick, I think, has gotten past Matthew Francis. And Matthew Francis will lose another place there to Mike as well. J-Lane's just catching up behind him as well in P9, but he's also got a penalty too. And lots of penalties down the back of the pack, not what they want to see. Jonathan, though, still keeping his gap from Dalton, not as much as before. He's lost a second or so in that last lap to the Genesis just behind. Dalton doing really well. Again, especially moving from the wheel to the pad for tonight's race. They had to make a very quick adjustment, but he's doing so to good effect and reeling in the Lexus just up the road there, taking Mike's fastest lap with a 1:27 flat, but Chris eclipses that with a 1:26.5. Of course, my kind of stop and benchmark there being a 1:26.0, and we have seen a 1:25.9 from these guys in qualifying. I think from Chris R390, so we know he is the ultimate pace setter for Tier 2 tonight. Dalton being held up there by Jonathan through the twisties, and Chris will be looking to reel in the sister Genesis there as they head up the hill. Make sure he breaks in a straight line there, rolling through, not going off the apex curve crucially. Keeping P3. I thought Jonathan went a little bit wide there. He did indeed. He has got a half-second penalty, so Dalton will make easy pickings of him down the back straight, hopefully, for P2. And Jonathan almost losing on the exit. That's not going to do him any favours at all. And that means that he will lose P1 before they even hit the penalty marker. He will lose place to Chris R390, so almost guaranteed. It's 1.6 seconds, but we know that half-second penalty doubles, if not triples, by the time they get into the braking zone. We can see 1.5 seconds back is more or less the gap there. So Jonathan's half-second penalty turning into a whole second's worth of time there. Chris R390, though, is not going to make a move on the exit of that, though, so he'll have to make a move maybe down to turn 1. They do draw very close, you can see here from Nick John Baker's perspective. Fire in P5, he's got 2 seconds in hand over Mr. Tinwick, who is 3.7 seconds away from Matthew Francis. Again, an electric start from Matthew Francis, was I think in the lead at one point, and a 1:25.9, a fantastic time from him there. I think that just about would have got him pole in qualifying. like he's running quite wide there at turn 1, just about keeping it on the track. That's going to encourage ART Mike to draw close to the back of that Korean Genesis. With Matthew Francis, as he said just a second ago, a chance of the win this race, but just hasn't kept it together tonight. He'll be very disappointed with his performances, I think, and there's some work to improve on. But of course, being in the driver academy will give him a chance to receive coaching from more experienced drivers and help him to work on his racecraft. Tiddlywink there, right at the back of Urban Fire here. As Lay saying, yeah, Urban Fire, but he's now under pressure from Mr. Tiddlywink. We know he's going to make some serious places up if he wants a chance at snagging another gold medal from Chris R390. But he's in P2, so he's well off the pace at this point. I think as it stands, Chris will be taking home the gold medal. Tiddlywink drawing close to the Urban Fire and going straight around the outside as what's happening with Urban Fire? He's lifting off. I'm not too sure what's happened there. Is he waiting for somebody? Maybe a kind of post-incident? I can't really tell, but very slow there, unless of course he just wants to get Tiddlywink through to not interfere with each other's race pace, which might well be an inspired move. We'll have to find out later. We did see Urban Fire pick up some free places earlier for other people's incidents. Recap though off the field, Dalton in the lead there. Chris R390 has gotten past Nick John Baker. Jonathan is down to 4, so that penalty really wasn't helping him out at all. But Dalton will be looking in his mirror very tentatively, trying to make sure that Chris does not round out the championship with a fight with another race win. I say another. I remember like a goldfish. Did he win race 1, race 2? Pretty sure Nick John Baker won race 1. I think Chris got race 2, but I could be wrong. My memory is really bad tonight. Regardless though, Dalton will lead him down the back straight. Chris is in the slipstream, so will be in equal machinery, I believe is the fun term we're using nowadays. Chris will have the benefit of the less air resistance, the less drag heading down into the chicane, and that has really net him at about 0.3 of a second, I think, as they head into the braking zone. We're on board there with Chris. Dalton's not had a great run through that chicane. I think Chris might take even more time out of him, but Chris actually lost his time on the exit instead, so maybe Dalton compromising the entry to make the exit better, and as we say, that does amplify the time gained all the way down to turn 1, provided you nail that long right sweeper down the hill. So they're still fluctuating between 6 to 8 tenths there as they head up out of the first corner to get halfway through the race. Nick John Baker is still lurking in the background there in P3. He'll be keen to pick up any scraps if those two get too feisty with each other. Maybe there's an off track or too much battling. Tiddlywink in P4, so he is pulling his way back up the field. But he's still got to get another 6 seconds in hand. Not like that though, that might get him a penalty for going off track. In fact, the real penalty is there as he slams into the wall, losing P5, 6 and 7. That's a very dangerous spin on the track there. J-Lad does pick his way around him, but the last place you want to do a handbrake turn is across the length of the track, Fiddles. Goodness me. Down to P7, damage to boot. The penalty, I guess, wasn't necessary in the long term. Bertie in 9th, Donovan in P10. I don't really have seen it all there. Handbrake turn across the width of the track. Dalton still in the lead. He's taken that lead from 6 tenths to 1.6 seconds there. Not such a great exit though, and Chris RV90 things will have him on the way down the hill. No one yet has beat Matthew Francis' purple time until just now. Nick John Baker takes 3 tenths out the fastest lap, 3 tenths out of the leaders there, and now all 3 of our lead cars are within about 1.5–2 seconds. Crucially though, Chris is not within that 1 second of Dalton up ahead, so he's going to start falling backwards into the clutches of Nick John Baker. We know his Toyota is really nimble through these twisting corners. Feathering the throttle there, balancing the car perfectly through this first sector. Really great job there from the Dutchman, hounding Chris through his corners. Chris with a half-second penalty as well for exceeding track limits. So again, trying to echo the same words from Matthew Francis earlier, Nick does not have to force the move unless Chris really holds him up. I don't think he will, but he knows he'll have him on the straightaway as soon as he serves that penalty. So he now has to make sure there's a good exit out here to maximise his time to Dalton. He has indeed had a cracking exit there reeling in, as you see from the red number on the left of your screen. That's the delta to the leader. He's going to slipstream Chris all the way up to the penalty zone. Chris has to lift the throttle there, relinquishing P2 to Nick John Baker, and Nick Baker there taking about 2.5 tenths out of Dalton as they head into the final chicane. Jumping a little further down the pack there, we've got a three-way scrap here, wow, with ART, Mike, Matthew Francis and Urban Fire. Matthew Francis defending to the inside from Mike. That might throw him off a little bit. Urban Fire's not as fast through the chicane. Francis has a four-wheel drive traction on the exit though. That's going to help him pull away from Mike just a little bit. But I'm not sure he's got the beans to get past Urban Fire down into turn one. They're going to be flat out with this long sweeping right-hander. I don't think there's a move on for the time being. Matthew Francis taking a much more tighter line there. Urban Fire going for more momentum around the outside. Mike going for a cover. Bread and butter approach from the pair of them. A little bit off balance there, trying to find the apex here, but Urban Fire is not very quick. That's going to call these three to Constantina, heading into the end of the first sector. And it's going to get really bunched up here, I think, as they head onto the back straight and jump to the front three quick, see how they are faring. Nick John Baker, now he has a half-second penalty. He was catching Dalton in leaps and bounds, and now he's going to give that time straight back to him. We know it's another 1.5 seconds for the lead. Chris after 90 slipstream as much as he can, trying to get as much benefit of the slipstream down the straight as possible, and that's going to throw him well ahead of Nick John Baker, possibly out of slipstream range as well. And I think, yes, it has, just about, as they head into the braking zone. Mike has managed to jump past Urban Fire and Matthew Francis, caught them both napping on the straightaway. 2 places for him. Matthew Francis trying to get past Urban Fire. What are they going to do in the braking zone? A lunge from Urban Fire there, but gives him space. Matthew Francis cuts across him there on the exit. So Urban Fire down 2, Matthew Francis up 1, and Mike up 2 as well. He'll be licking his lips, a very happy man indeed. Urban Fire though is not giving that up without a fight. He is nose to tail with Matthew Francis heading down the main straight into turn 1. There's nothing to make for the time being. Urban Fire cutting that inside line as tight as he can, tipping the grass as well. But I think this is where Urban Fire's weakest corner is. Matthew Francis makes it a little bit better, and Urban Fire, in fact, if he cut that corner possibly, and a half-second penalty for track limit, I'll say track limit infringement, I should say then. And already he's lost 2 seconds there to Matthew Francis because the momentum has thrown him off, so that is him comfortably down in P6 there. At the front of the field though, we can still see Nick John Baker, despite the penalty lost to Chris after 90, has gained half a second back this lap alone, and he's trying to reel him in the slipstream. So your Toyota's got to be revved all the way to the absolute red line to extract the most out of that little engine. I think it's a, remember rightly, it's one of a 2.2 litre Boxer 4. Tell me if I'm wrong, I can't remember my engine stats particularly well. Compared to that big 3.8 litre V6 in the Genesis. I've been told it actually is the same V6 that comes out of the Nissan GTR, but I've been wrong before. Regardless though, of course a big hefty V6 going to be a little bit more extra weight over the front wheels, costing him in the twistier sections. Did gain Nick John Baker a couple of tenths heading out of the final straight, but Chris after 90 has put the foot down through this first sector and is now taken another those 4 tenths right back out of Nick John Baker. There's been a brief change down the pack if I scuttle through a little bit. It's like J-Lad has just overtaken a big crazy Bertie in the final sector to snatch P7 there from the Sylvia driver. We saw Bertie get very unfortunate with a couple of off-track and barrier collisions tonight, so he will not be very happy with his performance. Stood with a real chance of stealing some huge points today, but it's just not gone his way. Same for Jonathan and same for Mr. Tillyweek, who we know has been absolute electric pace in some of these races in TCR, but tonight it has just not fallen for him. Dalton still in a very convincing lead here, 3.5 seconds up on Chris R390. He's been dueling with Nick John Baker, fighting tooth and claw, tooth and nail, I forget the idiom sometimes. But they will be very desperate to get their flags. However, Dalton has a yellow flag up ahead. I can't see who it is. Is it Tillyweek who is reversing out of the pit lane? So possibly a spin. on the bridge, and actually he can't get out of the pit lane, it seems. And of course, typically you'd be expected just to drive through the pit lane, and he can't seem to choose which way to go, so they have to drive through the pit lane and back out the other side. So that is very unfortunate for him. Fortunately, it's not too much of a distraction for our drivers, I don't think. Having said that though, Nick John Baker's taken another 10th or so out of Chris Harper 19. Look at the way he attacks those apexes down the hill, really sending the Toyota at maximum attack. It's another 10th taken out of Chris there. We might well see a change on the podium as they head through the double 90 and onto the home straight. Chris has run very wide there. Nick John Baker, a little bit of contact there, but I wouldn't overtake if I were Nick. He's going to try and force it through. There's some door banging there. Chris is not going to be happy with that. And they're still rubbing their trading paint. But now we see the grunt and the four-wheel drive traction, not the four-wheel drive, sorry, the grunt and the rear-wheel drive traction and the power of the Genesis start to take hold. He's now eking away just a little bit down the hill there as we follow them there side by side. And Chris can resume the racing line. Will Nick try and jump through the inside? No, he won't there, but he takes a very tight line again, as always, through these corners. Maximising the exit just enough. It's a really pleasing line that we see Nick take through that chicane. Just kicking some dirt up as he makes his way through it. These two still really close fighting. Fantastic scenes here. A final race of the final event here at the TCR Series 2. I think as it stands for Chris R390, he's pretty much guaranteed the win of Tier 2 following Tinderwink's trip into the pit lane, voluntary or not. I think that has put him a lap down. In fact, I think he's going to sit this one out in the pit lane. It's just not gone his way, unfortunately. I do feel for you, Tiddles, I really do. But it's still hotting up though between Chris and Nick John Baker. I'm going to scroll through the pack quickly, see if there's any more action down the pack. Mike's on his own, Matthew Francis on his own, Big Crazy Bertie's pretty much on his own. It seems that everyone is pretty much on their own, so I'm going to stick with these two, as Nick John Baker is really close now to Chris R390. A great exit through that corner. He's taken a 10th out of him just on the exit alone. We may well see a change from the podium heading down into the final chicane here. Imagine you drinking part of the final chicane. You would have made it to this race. And Nick John Baker moves out of the slipstream. We're going to try and turn the camera a little bit. The Genesis will still put its foot down into the braking zone. Nick John Baker, oh goodness me, very bold move there. I don't know how much contact was involved in that one, but he sneaked his way through. There was a gap and he licked the stamp and fully sent it. First class delivery. Big Crazy Bertie though, a 25. It's just a shame he's doing it down in P6, because that really does show the potential of his pace when he puts it together and keeps it consistent for a race. Nick, though, I think will be less concerned about the purple lap and more concerned about the black and gold Genesis lurking in his rearview mirror. Again, he's got to go maximum attack through these downhill corners to try and get some kind of gap on the Genesis behind him. He's just about taking some time out of him through these twisting sectors, but this is where the Hyundai will will make its living in the power segments here. So we're runnable with Chris as we check the gap out of this complex. A bit of a dodgy exit from Nick, so it's 5 tenths there out of the corner. We know the slipstream is worth about 3 tenths, but the car being a bit more powerful could give him maybe 2 tenths as they head into the braking zone. That might well be enough for a dive bomb. It is the penultimate lap. It is going to be close. That's 2.5 tenths. That's 2 tenths. Nick defends to the inside. Chris lunges up the inside, but Nick shuts the door in his face. This one is going to come down to the very last lap, and I'm sorry I can't hide the excitement in my voice because I'm so ready for a last lap showdown. So Nick John Baker will lead Chris R390 in the final lap. Dalton is in the clear by a country mile, 4.7 seconds there. He's not putting any blinding lap times, but he is keeping it clean and consistent. That's going to get him the win, barring any last minute mishaps. Mike, Matthew Francis, Bertie, Jonathan, Urban Fire, Jed, all setting their own paces here, so the fight really is P2 and P3. Nick John Baker's had a fantastic first sector here, taking that gap from Chris from about 2 tenths to another half a second away, but this is where the Hyundai thrives now. He's taken those 2 tenths back out of him on this straightaway. Another good a few right-handers here could increase his chances. Let's see, Nick John Baker goes wide of the apex. Chris nails the apex. They're 5/10 apart now, 4.5. This is going to be a lot closer. There's going to be a move into this corner. I can smell it. You see Dalton there comfortably in the lead, but now Chris Afrianti is going to steal as much slipstream as he can off of that little Toyota. Nick John Baker, where's he going to? Is he going to defend? Is he going to go to the outside? He's going to defend. He's pushed Chris almost onto the road. Chris goes back to the outside. They're going to go around the outside. He's not going to make that stick. Nick John Baker very brave on the brakes there. And I think it is going to be Nick sticking it out on the very last corner by the skin of his teeth. Owen Dalton takes the win here. But who's going to be second round the corner? It's going to be Nick John Baker. Less than a tenth in it. What incredible racing at the very end. Oh my goodness. I am so chuffed to see that way, and it did. Mike takes home P4, Matthew Francis in P5. Oh, I can actually breathe now. Goodness me, what a finale here at Road Atlanta. Big Crazy Bertie takes P6 and the fastest lap, 1:25.2. Incredible time here. That's going to be competitive for Tier 1, I'm sure. Jonathan comes home in P7. Urban Fire makes his way round the final corner here in P8. The last one finishes here. J-Lad, I was diving into the pits for a second. Glad he isn't. Is in P9, and Tiddlywink retiring early there in P10. Well, we've seen it all. We've seen cars handbrake turn onto the track. We've seen people try and reverse up the pit lane. We've seen some interesting rejoins. We've seen some nose-to-bumper racing. We've seen cars forced into the dirt, nearly forced into the dirt. Some dive bombs. We've seen people join from second race off the wheel onto a pad and then take a win on race 3. Everything you could possibly imagine has happened in this last race, and I'm glad so many of you were there to see it. I'm just going to wait for the race timer to finish out so we can have a quick chat with our drivers. And of course with Chris, our host for the evening. Owen Dalton takes the win there from P5, but I believe that Chris Char in the comments can let me know of the points if he's certain. I think that is a Tier 2 win for Chris R390. Chris Char saying that cracking racing in comms. Cheers, Squid. You did well filling in for the disconnect as well. Well, thank you very much. So as a teacher, I've got to think on my feet if the laptop or the whiteboard dies, or the books go missing, a PowerPoint can't be loaded. But it's been an absolutely crazy event, and I think Chris just joining in, I'm assuming it's going to be congratulating you for a Tier 2 win, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is, mate. I think it is, depending on penalties. Thanks very much. I said depending on their penalties and things like that, which I don't think there's any really. Maybe one incident in race 2 they want me to look at, but I think I've had a clean round. So yeah, how did Quinny get on in Tier 1? Do we know?
I've not heard anything from Tier 1. I might actually jump out the lobby and see if they're still racing. I doubt they are, but if they still are, what is happening over there? No, I think they have all finished.
Okay, so I think, I don't know as well, but I think, if I'm right, that me and Quinny also got the team championship, because I think we only needed 20 points with the race win in race 2 for me. I think that would have sealed it, but again, we need to double check that because I'm not 100%. So I am pleased, but I'm also a little bit disappointed really, because I thought I was going to get a bit of a battle with Tiddles on the 3 races, but it wasn't to be.
Oh no, I definitely agree with that. I thought Tiddles was going to have a really exciting race tonight, and unfortunately, poor guy, it's just not panned out for him. I do really feel for him.
It really hasn't, especially with Bertie being in the same car, managed that incredible lap in race 3. That was,
I say 25
the fight was there. I know, it was unbelievable.
That is really, really, really fast. I'd love to know what the lap times were like in Tier 1 as well. I can't imagine them being much faster than that. Nick Becker in the comments is saying that was awesome. Nick, I will say as well, you're huge pace shown tonight. Really, really impressed with you wrestling up Toyota around what's a fairly tricky track for it. So big shout out to you. Well done on your race win tonight as well. I just think we have to put the standings in the Discord. If you want to know what the final results are, that's another reason to join us on the Discord. Link in the description below. And but by no means last but not least, massive thank you to Chris for another successful TCR. I think it's probably double the entrance we had last time, and I'm sure
was
it'll be just
double,
as
yeah,
oversubscribed for season three.
Season 3 is ready to go, but it won't be until the summer, I don't think. So there's plenty of time for guys to join in. There is a progression series, which is our entry-level beginner series, starting on the 22nd of this month. So if any of you guys fancy having a go, never raced before, please come and join the Discord. There's plenty of guys there who will help you get quicker, help you get comfortable things. It is such a great laugh. We have such an enjoyable evening. So come and join us, and the more the merrier.
I can only recommend that wholeheartedly. If you're not sure, if you're maybe like a B or a C driver rating, you're not sure where you'd fit in the community, by all means jump into our progression series and get a feel for what we like at Amigos, for the formats to expect if you stay with us long term. And if you know that you want to jump in, get involved in some racing, there's loads of series coming on, and with this one in the summer is an absolute must see. I'll tell you that from experience.
Definitely, just one more point as well. I joined ART about a year ago, and I've been doing the progression series, and 12 months later I'm now in the academy looking to join the main team proper. So it's the opportunities are there if you want it, really. I mean, there's plenty of people, like I said, who will help, will coach people, and who do have the time to help other people out to get quicker, if that's what they want to do. So, if I can do it, why can't anyone else?
Yeah, well, there you go. A better advert for it than I could have put together myself. Thanks, Chris. And again, thank you for organising such a fantastic and successful series. I can only apologise for being intermittent with the commentary, but I'm sure the guys at home have loved what they've seen, and they'll be looking forward to season 3 as much as we both are.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, with that then, I would like to thank you,
Squid, for your commentary.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
I'll see you next season.
Oh, thank you very much. Always a pleasure, never a chore, and definitely never a bore. I'm looking forward to season 3. Take care then, Chris.
You too, mate. See you later.
And on that note, I've seen a comment, Luke. I'll get back to you in the Discord about the strike. It's been an interesting day, I'll tell you that much. So with that said, we'll wrap up season 2 of the TCR. Thank you all for watching and for your interaction and for taking part. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. And we'll see you for the next whatever happens on Amigos Racing Team. I've been SuperSquid. You've been amazing. Have a wonderful Wednesday evening and a great rest of your week.